Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up, Ukraine launches its largest drone strikes in Russian territory since the war began, hitting 6 regions. Millions in Florida brace for impact. Hurricane Idalia is to hit as a Category 4 storm in the next few hours. Sudan's military leader promises free and fair elections as Egypt's president offers mediation for peace. We're going to start with breaking news out of Gabon. Senior members of the military have appeared on television saying they're now in control of the oil-rich Central African country. They've ordered all institutions to be dissolved. Military leaders have also announced the cancellation of Saturday's election result. The Electoral Commission says President Ali Bongo won a 3rd term in office. He's said to have got nearly 65% of the vote.
À cela s'ajoute une gouvernance irresponsable.
After noting an irresponsible, unpredictable governance which results in a continuous deterioration of social cohesion that risks leading the country to chaos, today, the 30th of August 2023, in the name of the Gabonese people, we, the Committee of the Transition and the Restoration of Institutions, have decided to defend the peace, putting an end to the regime in place. To this end, the general elections of August 26, 2023, as well as the results, are cancelled. The borders of the country are closed until further notice. All the institutions of the Republic are dissolved. The government, the Senate, the National Assembly, the Constitutional Court. We call on the population for calm and serenity. And we affirm our attachment to the respect of Gabon's commitments to the international community.
OK, for more on this, we're going to bring in Catherine Soy. She's following developments from Nairobi in Kenya. What more do we know about what's going on, Catherine?
Yes, so that statement was released on Gabon TV. This is a state-run TV station that is based.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got a few problems getting hold of Catherine there. We will, of course, try and get her back later in the programme, as this is a breaking story. She'll have a lot more information. But at the moment, we're going to go to Tara O'Connor. She's the founder and executive director of Africa Risk Consulting. She's joining us from the city of Bordeaux in France. Very good to have you with us on Al Jazeera. Why do you think that this has happened now, just a few days after the election result?
Well, it seems that this is a continuation of control of one family, the Bongo family. You know, Ali Ben Bongo, the president who actually won the elections, took over from his father 14 years ago. So I think there is a deep resentment in West Africa on around dynastic-style politics. But nevertheless, this military intervention should really be seen in the context of perhaps the military interventions in neighbouring Francophone countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and most recently Niger.
The military are saying that they're ordering the dissolution of government, Senate, National Assembly and Constitutional Court. Is there any indication that they're, A, in a position to order that, and B, will people actually listen?
Well, I think it's, as we've seen elsewhere, when a military takes over, it's at the barrel of a gun. So people do tend to be a bit cautious. But definitely the Omar Bongo descendants, Ali Ben Bongo, they were particularly unpopular. There was a lot of challenge to the elections. I mean, the elections took place under curfew with limited media and so on. So really, even extending the term, Ali Ben Bongo's extending his term to a 3rd term was particularly popularly unpopular. Well, it was unpopular with people.
Is there any, or has there been any indication in Gabon's past that this kind of thing could happen? Does it have a history of this kind of military intervention?
Yes, it does. There was an attempt there was an attempted coup against Ali Ben Bongo's father, Omar Bongo, but that was actually put down by French intervention. But France has long since changed its policy towards its former colonies, and Gabon is one of the key very loyal former colonies to France. But France has particularly changed that since Emmanuel Macron came into power, and has sought to widen France's relationships to Nigeria, to South Africa, to Kenya, and reduce its dependence and reduce these very strong tied links to the former Franc zone countries, as they're called.
Is there any indication, do you think, that France is going to be put in a position where it feels it has to get involved in this, or is it going to be taking a fairly hands-off approach to what's happening in Gabon?
I think it will be a hands-off approach. This is very much a big problem for France, and another coup in Francophone, what is traditionally called in France the Francophone West African countries, will be very unpopular in France. But I doubt very much that Macron will respond with an intervention, as has happened in the past, unless France is called upon to do so by ECOWAS or the African Union or the regional bodies that have been taking a very prominent role in other military coups in the region, such as most recently in Niger, where the ECOWAS, the 15-member regional body, has actually announced that it has got preparations for a military intervention in Niger to restore the constitutional order. And we will watch to see what those regional bodies and what the African Union says now about this latest in this string of coups.
I want to ask you about Gabon's economy. It's an OPEC member. It's an oil-producing country, fifth largest oil-producing nation in Africa, I understand. But it also has diversified into other areas as well. There are clearly going to be foreign interests who have investments in that. How concerning is this going to be for those foreign investors and, of course, for foreign governments as well?
It's enormously concerning for foreign investors. Obviously, because the suspension of the rule of law in military intervention is effectively a suspension of the rule of law, and Gabon, yes, you're right to say it produces about I think its current production is around 210,000 barrels of oil. So it's not a huge producer in terms of its OPEC membership, but what's much more important is Gabon's role in the new energy transition. It is a major producer of manganese. It's a major producer of minerals, uranium, that are very important for the future energy transition. So geopolitically, it's important, but also very important, much more so to France, to European relations, than, say, the OPEC countries.
Let me ask you about the more local relations. It borders the Republic of Congo and Equatorial Guinea. What do you think the impact is going to be there? How are they going to be seeing this?
Well, Gabon, Congo is very much more as authoritarian state, as is Equatorial Guinea. So I don't think the rash of coups will worry those two regimes, particularly as they are quite tightly controlled by their leaders. But the country that I would be more concerned about would be Senegal, where you have a very unpopular president who is equally trying to manipulate for upcoming elections by all sorts of means, including arresting and imprisoning opposition leaders.
Tara O'Connor, founder and executive director of Africa Risk Consulting. We appreciate it very much indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I can go back to Catherine Soy, who we were talking to earlier about the latest from what was happening in Gabon. Catherine, thanks very much indeed for coming back to us. I know we had a few phone problems. What do we know then about the situation in Gabon at the moment?
Yes, so this statement was released on Gabon TV. It's a state-run TV station that is based within the presidency. And those who addressed that briefing were members of the army. We saw presidential guards as well, and they're calling themselves the Committee for the Transition and Restitution of the Institutions. And they say that they don't believe that the election was free or fair or transparent. And they say that they are very frustrated because the government has not been following the will of the people. So people have been told to stay at home until the situation is resolved. And we've been talking to some people in Gabon who have been following these developments, and we are saying they've been telling me that during the campaigns, during the voting as well, people were not very confident that the election will be free and fair because of different changes that happened when it comes to the election. For example, election observers, international election observers were barred from, for not deployed. The government says that they will not be accredited. This case happens with also international journalists as well. We tried to get accredited, but it was not possible. So people are saying that this is a recipe for this and what is happening now. And we have also been told that the opposition had already said that they will not accept the results. The results were announced very, very early this morning, and this is what precipitated all this. And the people and these officials who address this call say they want to make things right. So we don't know where the president is right now. He should be Libreville, the capital city, but we don't know exactly where he is. Those who addressed the press conference did not mention whether they have him or where exactly he is. But we also know that the opposition leader, Mr. Osso, the opposition leader, we know that he is not in the country. He left the country immediately after voting because he said that his life was in danger. We don't know which country he is in right now. So the situation is still very fluid and people are staying home.
Catherine, thank you very much.